Detective Rachel Monroe arrived at the quiet suburban street just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The house at the end of Maple Lane looked ordinary. White picket fence, trimmed lawn, closed curtains. But inside, something was terribly wrong. The Wilson family had vanished overnight. Neighbors said they were last seen at dinner the previous evening. This morning, their car was still in the driveway, lights off, door locked, but no one answered. Rachel stepped inside the house. It was spotless, untouched, almost too clean. No signs of struggle, no signs of packing. The fridge was full, dinner dishes still in the sink, and a child's toy car left abandoned in the hallway. It was as if the Wilsons had evaporated into thin air. Her eyes scanned the living room. Something caught her attention. A photo. On the wall had been turned upside down. Strange. She flipped it back and looked behind it. Nothing. But then she noticed faint fingerprints on the wall near the edge of the frame. A pattern. Someone left a message, she whispered. Using her flashlight at an angle, she could just barely make out a word smeared in oily residue. Behind the picture, basement. Rachel's pulse quickened. She walked to the basement door, which was oddly scratched at the bottom, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. She drew her weapon and slowly opened the door. A rush of cold air hit her. Then had she heard it? A faint whisper. "Help me." Detective Rachel Monroe tightened her grip on the flashlight as she descended the basement stairs. Each step creaked beneath her boots. The air grew colder, heavy with dust and something else. Fear. "Help me!" The voice echoed again, barely audible. She reached the bottom. The basement was cluttered with old boxes, tools, and a broken washing machine. But then, behind a large wooden shelf, she noticed something strange. A gap in the wall, slightly ajar. A hidden door. She pulled the shelf aside, her heart pounding. The hidden door groaned open, revealing a narrow passage that led to a small, dimly lit room. And in the center of that room was Mrs. Wilson, tied to a chair, gagged, eyes wide with terror. Rachel rushed over and untied her. "Who did this to you?" she asked. Mrs. Wilson coughed, her voice hoarse. It was Daniel. Our neighbor. He's not who he says he is." Rachel barely had time to react before a loud noise came from behind. Footsteps, fast, heavy. She turned just in time to see a figure charging at her. It was Daniel. But his eyes were wild, his hands stained with dirt. He lunged at her with a knife. Bang! Rachel fired a single shot. Daniel collapsed, the knife clattering to the floor. Later, as backup arrived and Mrs. Wilson was taken to safety, Rachel found out the full story. Daniel had been living under a false identity for years. He believed the Wilsons had discovered his secret, a past murder in another state. So he decided to erase them. But he hadn't expected Mrs. Wilson to fight back. She had managed to leave the clue behind the photo, the only reason Rachel had found her in time. As she stepped back into the cool night air, Rachel whispered, "Never underestimate a silent message."